up? It's your boy T-Bird here with the reaction. So another video I had on my watch later list for a while when I wanted to check out off I am. I seen DB Entertainment check it out, so I'm gonna check it out myself. This is from Law Culture. This is 10 best unscripted moments in WWE history. So let's check this shit out.
Back in the Wild West days of professional wrestling, the shows were less planned out. There were no detailed scripts for the promos, no sponsors that needed to be plugged, and fans trying to stab the wrestlers was just a semi-regular occurrence. WWE now likes to sometimes give wrestlers dialogue that reflects a real-life event, or a shoot. They try to trick us into believing that what we're watching is real, but their shows are heavily scripted and nothing makes air without Vince McMahon's approval. Well, almost nothing. Sometimes reality invades the wrestling world, and that's when things get good. Wrestlers get caught up in the moment and create some shocking and unforgettable television. Well, I'm Andrew with What Culture, and here are WWE's 10 best unscripted moments. Number 10, Daniel Puder versus Kurt Angle.
Oh, shit.
Even an Olympic gold medalist shouldn't challenge someone to an impromptu fight in front of thousands of people. Because if you win, you just look like you beat up an amateur, and if you lose, your credibility takes a big hit. That's exactly what happened to Kurt Angle, though, when he called out the Tough Enough crew in 2004. After making the hopefuls compete in the popular and beloved squat thrust competition, he offered up an open challenge to battle him in a shoot fight. The first contestant, Angle, dominated and broke his ribs. Then, Daniel Puder wanted a shot, and he could have given Kurt a broken freaking arm. You see, what Kurt didn't know is that Puder had some MMA experience, and while he was being taken down to the mat, he cinched in a Kimura lock. The rest freaked out and quickly counted to 3, despite Puder's shoulders not touching the ground. Things could have ended really badly if only the company had learned from that whole brawl-for-all fiasco that predetermined fighting and actual fighting is a pretty terrible mix. Number 9, Shane meets Glass. Shane McMahon is the son of the boss. He could have played a nice, safe backstage role and made a ton of money over the course of his career. Or he could get into the ring and get thrown through a plate of glass by an Olympic gold medalist time and time again and get a concussion for it. He chose the latter. The two were set to have a showdown in a street fight, yet somehow, Kurt didn't get the memo that you always wear pants in a wrestling street fight. It was a brutal affair that took a turn into sadism when Kurt attempted to overhead suplex Shane through a glass plate. The problem is, it didn't break, and Shane's head landed on the concrete floor. Despite being badly injured, he insisted Kurt try again. Luckily, this time it worked. Instead of ending the match right there, Shane wanted to come back through, so Kurt attempted another suplex, and it failed. So Kurt just picked the kid up and threw him face first through the glass. To make things even more insane, Angle broke his tailbone in the match and still hit a top rope angle slam while standing on a wood plank. That has to be in the top 5 most badass things an Olympian has ever done. Number 8. The curtain call.
Oh, here we go.
Much like the movie The Butterfly Effect, with that lovable Ashton Kutcher, one small off-air moment developed into wide-ranging effects on the entire wrestling industry. In 1996, Diesel and Razor Ramon decided that working for more money and half the dates was a great idea, so they went to WCW. All they had to do was fill out their dates with Vince and job out to a few guys, like Undertaker or Bret Hart playing the ninja type. The two had their last show at Madison Square Garden, and their clique buddies Shawn Michaels and Triple H wanted to give them a fond farewell. Instead of giving them one of Mabel's delicious butterscotch cakes, they decided to break the fourth wall, break kayfabe, and just hug it out in the center of the ring. This was a huge no-no, and Vince decided someone needed to feel his wrath. But with the two stars leaving and Michaels untouchable, that left Hunter, who was scheduled to win the King of the Ring that year. That plan was then vetoed, and the man who got the nod instead, none other than Stone Cold Steve Austin, who delivered his earth-shattering Austin 316 promo that night. Now try and imagine the wrestling business without that. Number 7, the pipe bomb promo. Now, even though CM Punk's infamous and brilliant pipe bomb promo wasn't a complete shoot, it definitely wasn't scripted by WWE Creative. Punk was on his way out of the company, and for some reason, Vince just let him loose on the microphone. He took down anyone and everyone in WWE, and no one was safe, from the marketing department who didn't put him on cups, to John Laurinaitis, who was a glad-handed yes man. It was only when Punk started veering into the company's hypocritical anti-bullying campaign was the mic finally cut off. But within those few minutes, Punk started a brief revolution that sadly burnt out when Kevin Nash beat him up, and then texted himself from Hunter's phone, and then Hunter beat him, and then Punk just got sick of wrestling and quit. Number 6, really mean Gene. Gene Okerlund just seems like the friendly neighbor next door who will invite you over for a barbecue and check in on your cats when you're out of town. He also seems like a guy that just never loses his cool. Unless the sign falls down, then watch the hell out. At SummerSlam 1989, Tony Schiavone and Jesse Ventura turned it over to Mean Gene, who was set to interview Rick Rude and Bobby Heenan. Within a couple of seconds, though, the SummerSlam sign fell down and Gene blurted out a profanity. Gentlemen, as you know it, the Ultimate Warrior, it. I mean, I wasn't all that excited about an Ultimate Warrior match either, but I don't see any reason to lose it. Number 5, The Rock just does wherever The Rock wants. So Hulk Hogan was busted saying a lot of horrible, racist things on camera, which means right now he doesn't really exist in WWE history. WrestleMania 3, Andre the Giant, he He just wrestled himself that night. However, this did not stop The Rock from stopping his own promo to go chat with the guy cosplaying as the Hulk on the January 25th, 2016 episode of Raw. During one of his surprise appearances, the Great One did some improv with a group of fans that had already been moved off camera. And it was awesome, because WWE goes out of their way to avoid distractions, and yet here was the one guy they couldn't tell what to do, creating a huge distraction. However, imagine Bo Dallas pointing out a Hulk Hogan fan in the crowd and chatting with him, and then imagine what the results would have been. I don't believe it would be a very good career move. Number 4, Mickie James and the Lick of Doom. By the time WrestleMania 22 came around, the WWE was a tamer product in the Attitude Era. Gone were the days of Steve Austin drinking beer and giving the middle finger to everyone, and in were the days of John Cena and booby jokes. At the granddaddy of them all, though, things got a bit more mature during the Trish Stratus and Mickie James match. You see, James was a stalker, so you'd think she'd do some weird and creepy things, and she did during the match. But apparently some people in charge thought she went a bit too far. She ended up grabbing Trish's crotch, made a V symbol with her fingers, and then licked them. It was a cool moment, and it perfectly fit her character, but Vince McMahon was so offended that he made sure it was edited out of all future replays. However, he was not offended enough to cancel the Playboy pillow fight just 4 matches later. Number 3. McMahon's Rumble Stumble. Well, maybe a senior citizen blowing out his quads in front of millions of people isn't exactly a best moment, but it sure as hell was memorable, and it was kind of funny. If that makes me a bad person, I will accept it. At the 2005 Royal Rumble, Batista and John Cena went over the top rope at the same time to end the match. There was no way the show could end like that. Vince McMahon would not stand for it. Literally. As he ran down to the entryway, he slid inside the ring and hit his leg on the apron and blew out one of his quads. He attempted to stand and then put too much weight on the other leg and blew that one out too. All he could do was sit on his butt looking up at the 2 top stars and the referees and try to issue some kind of order. Here was the almighty McMahon, the one who poses on muscle magazines with his freakishly large figure, looking a bit foolish. Luckily he healed up, but those couple of minutes were the most disturbing and oddly fascinating thing on the show, next to Heidenreich vs. Undertaker. Number 2, Snake's Got a Snake. There have been a lot of unpredictable kings in wrestling. King Kong Bundy, Jerry the King Lawler, that Ross guy. Perhaps none more out of control than a motherfucking King Cobra Snake. For 30 painful seconds, Randy Savage was tied up in the ropes with a fucking King Cobra Snake biting him. Now, the snake had been defanged, but it still had enough bite left in it to make his arm bleed. Jake was desperately trying to take the snake off him, but he couldn't. It was a scary scene that helped intensify the feud, though, but also likely scared millions of children around the world. It was probably a moment the Macho Man didn't ever want to think about again. Oh, yeah, why did it have to be snakes? And the best unscripted moment is the Montreal Screwjob.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, you might have known this was coming, but 20 years after the Screwjob, we're still fascinated by it. In Bret Hart's final WWF match, he and Vince agreed to a finish that would see the Hitman keep his head held high, and then he'd later hand over the world title willingly. It seemed too good to be true, and it absolutely was. Despite a friendly handshake between them, it didn't go down as planned. Probably because Vince had his fingers crossed behind his back. Bret was blindsided at Survivor Series 97 when Shawn Michaels slapped him in the sharpshooter and the ref called for the bell, and then ran for his life. Bret was at first confused, and then irate. He spit in his boss's face, and later delivered a knuckle sandwich to him backstage. And while screwing over your longtime employee may seem like a dick move, it actually worked out brilliantly, as it launched the Mr. McMahon character, which then feuded with Steve Austin, and helped put WCW down for the 3 count. Sometimes, the unscripted moments are the best moments. It's too bad we don't get more of them. Well, that's the list. Got any more favorite unscripted moments? Sound off below in the comments. I'm Andrew from What Culture, and you can follow me at Andrew So.
Wow, that shit was crazy though, man. I ain't know. I mean, I think I remember watching it. I ain't think about that though. Wow, that's crazy. That he blew his quads out. Like during a Royal Rumble. Well, that was really interesting right there. Let's take a look and see real quick. Yeah, that was interesting right there. That stuff like that happened like that. Wow. So if you like my reaction, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like my Facebook page. It's your boy T-Bear signing off. One love.